Jerry, are we ready to go? Yeah? Oh, I thought you guys were trying to get something going there. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm ready when you guys are ready. Everyone ready? All right. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, council. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I just want to remind everyone that Councillor Fideo isn't feeling well today, but he's going to join us virtually. I have an agenda before me. I'm just wondering if there's any additions. Yeah, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Reeve and Council. Administration would like to request 2 additional items for today. Under 9, new business, 9.5, Alberta Environment and Protection. 9.5.1, adoption of fire guards for 2025. Item number 2, under 12, closed session, 12.1, economic development, FLOIP, section 2.5.
Okay, thank you. Any other additions? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for adoption of the amended agenda. Okay, thank you, Councillor Kraviak. Thank you, Councillor Kraviak, that Council approves adoption of the agenda as following additions, 9.5, 9.51, and under closed session 12.1. Any discussion on this? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Reeve?
Yep.
We're just going to redo the vote, and we hadn't had Councillor Fideo added yet, so he wasn't able to vote. So we're just
Okay.
going to recast it now.
All right, thanks. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. I'm looking for the adoption of the minutes, regular meeting of council, February 25th, 2025. Thank you, Councillor Slipchuk. Things are a little cold this morning or something. I know it was pretty chilly this morning. All right, there we go. Councillor Slipchuk, thank you. The council approves adoption of the minutes of February 25th, 2025 regular meeting of council as presented. Any discussion? I am seeing none. I'm going to call for the vote. That is carried. Thank you. I guess we're going to 7.1.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
This is Development Permit Application 2025-D-029 for Jarl and Chelsea Gertyson. The applicant is applying for a size variance from 20 acres to 6 acres for the continuation of an existing major rural industrial use for a welding and fabrication business. The property is located 2 miles north of the hamlet of LaCorey and half a mile west on Township Road 634. Adjacent properties are a residential parcel and the quarter section remnants. The applicant applied for a subdivision of the existing parcel, which would result in the major rural industrial use being on a 6-acre parcel. Unless a variance is granted, the subdivision cannot proceed. Adjacent landowner letters were sent out on February 12th, and we did not receive any letters of concern. Recommendation for development application 2025-D-029 is refuse a request for a variance from 20 acres to 6 acres for an existing major rural industrial use as it does not conform with section 58, requiring 20 acres for a major rural industrial use. Alternatively, as per section 20.2, a variance may be considered in cases of practical difficulties particular to the use, character, and situation of the land or building which are not generally common to other lands in the same land use district. Council may choose to approve development permit application 2025-D-029 for a variance from 20 acres to 6 acres for an existing major rural industrial use due to the practical difficulties with the following conditions. Building, electrical, gas, plumbing, and septic permits are required as per Alberta Safety Codes Act. As per section 52 of the Land Use Bylaw number 1667, outdoor lighting shall be located so that rays of light are not directed at an adjacent site, do not adversely affect an adjacent site, do not adversely affect traffic safety. Shall comply with Consolidated Public Safety Bylaw number 1812 regarding noise control and nuisance. Shall comply with all provincial and federal regulations. The permit is valid for the current scope of the business. If expansion is intended, a new development permit shall be required, and the permit may be revoked at any time if, in the opinion of the Development Authority, the use is or has become non-compliant, detrimental, or nuisance to the character and amenities of the neighborhood. Any questions?
Thank you. Yep, Deputy Reeve, then Councillor Swigert.
So just so I'm clear on this, so he has a 20-acre parcel right now? Is that
Through
right?
Reeve to Deputy Reeve Carson,
And
that
he
is correct.
has, but now he wants it down to 6 acres to do his business on?
Yes, they want to split the home use from the industrial use.
And so the other 14 acres will just be dissolved into the rest of the quarter?
That is not the plan. It's just
So there'll be 2 parcels on
two
there?
parcels in that lot, yeah.
So does it mention, does it mention that the other half of that, or the other 14 acres is another parcel? Because I don't see that in here.
That is part of the subdivision application. The subdivision has not gone through yet because of this outstanding issue that was reviewed as a condition of the subdivision. So once this is approved, then the subdivision can proceed and the 14 acres and the 6 acres will be 2 separate parcels.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Swigert.
Thanks, Mr. Reeve. Yeah, it was really a similar question. I didn't kind of follow the reasoning also why they wanted that, and maybe can you bring up the sketch of the property and then just kind of describe what they're trying to do there? I see kind of a diagonal line more off to the right of the actual sketch of the, I
It looks
guess.
like there's 2
lot.
driveways there. Is that what you're looking at?
I was looking at this one, trying to figure out what are they doing?
That should be with the application as well.
Oh, I see.
I'm just going to switch over to Councillor Slipchuk here. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can make a motion for Mr. Grytyson to speak here, and we can ask him directly, then he's here in the audience.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion.
You'd like to make a motion that that Mr. Grytyson speaks? Okay. Can we write that motion up, please?
While they're doing that, do you want me to answer the question with the?
Sure,
okay.
go ahead.
So on that sketch that was submitted by the surveyors, it does have the diagonal line from north to south. And that is what the proposed subdivision would look like, with the industrial being on the east and the home and residential use being on the west.
Are they trying to get that up on the big screen or no?
Mr. Reeves, so I still kind of have a question. What's the significance of doing that, though? They own 19.62 acres or whatever. And
Yes.
then, but why the need to have a subdivision on that? They own it anyway. They're going to do what they want to do on on their 20 acres. But, so why do they have to apply to have a reduction to 6 acres, because it doesn't follow our bylaws?
Yes, so to proceed with the subdivision, we cannot proceed with the subdivision without this variance because that would create a non-conforming use on the 6-acre parcel. They want to separate the personal use from the business use legally, and creating the two parcels would do this.
Yeah, I understand that, but legally, they want to, I mean, it doesn't meet our bylaws, but what's the advantage to them to do that other than, you know, they're gonna run a business on one side and then, and I don't know what, I mean, I guess the guy can speak about it, but then sell the other piece later or something. I guess that gives them the option of doing that. And then we're stuck with something that doesn't conform to our
Yeah,
bylaws. So
let's make a motion. There we go. Thank you. Councillor Slipchuk, that the council approves Jarl and Chelsea Tyson to address the council regarding item 7.1, development application number 2025-D-029. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen?
Mr. Reeve?
Yes.
Councillor Fredeo would just like to speak. We'll just get him up on the screen here.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, when we approved the subdivision to begin with, that was kind of where we were going towards to approving this as well, right? So we didn't make that motion to just have it drop there. This motion is coincides with the subdivision that we did, I believe, about a month ago.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Okay, that's carried. Come on up, Mr. Gurtheisen. You got 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Well, I'd like to answer Councillor Swigert, I hope I'm saying that right, question about why we would want to do this. So since we moved there in 2010, that's about when LSC Industrial started. That is the operating business that works there. We've always rented the land. Chelsea and myself have rented the land to LSC for the use. LSC would like to, there's additional business partners that are shareholders in LSC. And as shareholders, they would like to invest in a property that they own that's not rented. So just any improvements that we would like to do, whether it's to the yard or to the buildings, they would like to invest in something that they own, which makes sense. So the subdivision line that was on the sketch, it was up there earlier, is actually as far west as we could move it. It's beyond land that LSC actually uses. If we could move it further, we would, but, so that's the footprint that we've always operated on, nothing more. We're not increasing the size of what we're doing business on there.
Yep, go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
It looks like, is there a water well that LSC uses that will be on your side of the land?
LSC hauls water in. The well is just on the property edge.
So it won't be something that LSC will be using?
No.
Okay. That's for you, that's for your own.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Crick?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I understand the intent there. They're trying to separate the business from the personal residence. So I'll make the motion that we, this is option number 2, to approve a variance.
All right, we'll wait till that comes up.
Have you considered, I guess you have that property where it is because, of the line where it is because of the approaches?
Correct.
So have you considered moving the approach over and having it straight up and down?
It is quite wet in that area. If you were to visit, and maybe not this year so much, or last year, but in around 2020, it was flooding over the approaches, and Mr. Slipchuk and Mr. DeShane have been out on, Barry's been on site, and we would actually pay to steam the township road culverts to avoid flooding our shop yard.
Alright.
I did it probably 6 times, steaming the township road culverts.
You
So
have that motion? While we're waiting, Counselor
There
Swager,
is also
go ahead.
a plan to be in compliance of the bylaws within 12 months. It's just that this is not we cannot do everything in an instant, but whereas we have negotiations completed to acquire the additional piece of the quarter section, and we would be working with the development team to either amalgamate or, either way, we'd be looking at having the remainder of the quarter. It's just that there's timelines and process that this is the first thing that's being presented, so.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Swager.
Yeah, I appreciate you kind of filling us in. I was under the impression that you actually had a small business on your property and so, but you've, because in that case, I thought, well, why would you want to do this? But you've cleared it up that it's not your business.
I'm a shareholder, but it started small, and it so far it's working out that it's been
Growing.
profitable, so.
And so your last comment about coming into compliance, are you suggesting that they're going to, or that you and the rest of the guys will try to increase the size of that?
I'm not
So
sure
it's
if that's
20
allowed,
acres or more?
but we would be owning the plan is to own the remainder of the quarter in the next 12, under the next 12 months, so.
Well, thanks for the information, thanks.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Counselor Crick that council approves development permit application number 2025D029 for variance from 20 acres to 6 acres for the existing major rural industrial use as Part 3, Section 20.2 due to the practical difficulties of Lot 1, Block 1 Plan 1125587 within Northwest 2463-6 west of the 4th Meridian as discretionary use as per Part 6, Section 58 and Part 7, Section 69.2 of the Land Use Bylaw. Any discussions? Anybody knows about that? Counselor Slipchuk.
Well, what's this ring?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's some button I pressed here or something.
Down Ben's end?
Ben wants to speak. Who's like, it's Donnie.
Okay.
Let's shut Donnie off. Where's it coming from?
Mr. Reeve, may we recess to figure out where the noise is
Yes,
coming from?
we'll call for the vote first.
Sorry, Mr.
Oh.
Reeve, this is not actually the correct motion. We need to
Okay.
add the conditions.
All right, we're gonna recess here for 5 minutes. Figure out what the beeping noises are.
Was it possibly going to?
Okay, Steph, you wanted me to reread that, you didn't quite have all the knowledge there yet?
I believe the motion itself stayed the same. We did add the conditions to the motions, so.
Okay, I'm just gonna add the conditions to the motion I just read. The conditions are 1 through 6, as you can see on your screen. Any discussion? I got Counselor Slipchuk.
Okay, I want to ask about this, like, for my understanding as well. The 20 acres, where did that come into, like, for a major business?
That's from the land use bylaw.
Yeah.
And we had to have a threshold, and that was the threshold that was given when the land use bylaw was created and when the minor and major rural industrials were separated. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of businesses, major businesses along the highway that I know aren't 20 acres. Like, so they must have got variances and when they got theirs?
Yeah, or it could have been before that number was created.
So my concern about that number is like, are we gonna hinder if somebody's looking to start up maybe a business in a rural business, they see that 20 acre, oh my goodness, I don't wanna, like, does that scares maybe potential opportunities, other people starting a business in our area?
So most of the major rural industrial businesses would be a discretionary use anyway, which would mean it would be brought to council. And so that number can be discussed, and it does depend on the situation and what kind of business it is running. So that's why it is usually brought to council for a decision.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Tyson there on expanding your businesses and keeping the local people employed, and we can, that will work with businesses to promote them in our area and keep trying to keep everyone working here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. Thank you, that's carried.
Thank you.
Going on to 7.2.
Public hearing?
Yeah, we're at 9:30?
Yes, Mr. Reeve.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, thanks for catching that. We're going to 4.1, 9:30, bylaw number 1890, road closure and disposal. Yep, sure.
Mr. Reeve, we just need the motion to open the public hearing.
Okay. Did I get a package on that this morning, or am I? No? Okay, I need a motion to go into public hearing. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Subchuk, for making the motion that the public hearing for item 5.1 will be open at 9:30. Any discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. Here? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Go ahead. Yep, sorry.
Okay. Good morning. This is a public hearing for bylaw number 1890, which would authorize the closure of registered road plan 872-2638 as described in Appendix A. Currently, this road plan bisects the parcel, hindering the applicant's use of their parcel according to their application. The road plan is not required for access. Council gave first reading to bylaw 1890 on January 28, 2025. A copy of the draft road closure bylaw was referred to adjacent landowners, utility providers, and Alberta Environment and Parks, and there were no concerns. Following this public hearing, the proposed road closure package will be submitted to Alberta Transportation for ministerial approval prior to MD Council approval through second and third reading. If the bylaw is approved, the road plan will be sold at fair market value as determined by the MD Assessment Department and consolidated into Plan 172-1848, Block 2, Lot 2. The applicant would be required to hire an Alberta land surveyor for the consolidation process.
Thank you. Was there any written submissions, Steph, for this that were entered? No? Okay, I usually have a thing written out. I need to ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak? No?
Nobody registered that I'm aware of.
Okay, so I don't need to go through that process?
There is no one in the gallery from the public at this moment.
All right, is there any questions? Okay. I guess I just need a motion to close public hearing. Okay, thank you, Councillor Crick. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for that the public hearing for item 5.1 be closed at 9:33 a.m. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. Okay, back to, where are we at now? 7.2, yeah, morning.
Good morning. Administration has received and is presenting development application.
Mike.
Pardon me?
Just hit your button. Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Administration has received and is presenting development application 2025-D-034 for council consideration. The applicant is applying for a second approach for rural industrial use on a 2.09 acre parcel. The applicant is applying for a variance to policy 3A-007 municipal road policy from one approach to two approaches. The property is located within the Aurora Borealis multi-lot industrial subdivision north of Highway 66 along Highway 41. Adjacent properties are rural industrial properties. Please bring up the location map. Administration received the request for a second approach on February 19th, 2025. Approach policy 3A.007 does not allow for a second approach on parcels under 80 acres. The application is requested to allow a second approach to the 2.09 acre industrial property for safety purposes. The existing approach gives direct access to the equipment yard. The applicant is requesting a second approach further north to be used for office access and to a dedicated 6-stall parking area. The use of the large pieces of equipment and heavy truck in the area make the current single approach unsafe for public access. The applicant will install a chain link fence to separate the office and visitor traffic from the equipment and storage portion. Policy 3A 007 states that only one approach is allowed on a parcel under 80 acres, but applications for approaches beyond the maximum may be considered by the Development Authority. Referral was sent to Infrastructure Services on February 19th with no concerns reported. Adjacent landowners were also sent out on February 19th, and we did not receive any responses at the time of the generation of these reports. The recommended action for development permit 2025-D-012 is to refuse the request for a second approach as it does not comply with the policy. I do have Matt here if you have any questions regarding the application or any of that, or if you have any questions, I'm free to answer.
Okay, Councillor Slipchuk?
I'd like to maybe take this into closed session to discuss further
Okay, make a motion.
possibility. I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, Councillor Slipchuk, for making a motion to go into in camera.
Mr. Reeve, we
Yep.
just need clarity under what foot section this would be.
What?
How would I put that? Section 25? I'd call FOIP Section 25.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Slipchuk. Do we have it written up yet? Oh, we can have discussion on this. Deputy Reeve, then Councillor Swigert.
So what's FOIP 25 mean? I don't see any reason why this would have to be in closed session, but maybe you can explain. Well, I don't know, what's FOIP 25? What does that mean exactly? I have no idea.
Through the Reeve, over to the Deputy Reeve, Section 25 under FLOIP is economic development.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Swigert?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Reeve. So my comment was I would agree to having a second approach just for the safety of public coming into that yard. So, I mean, that was just my comment.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Reeve, Councillor Fideo would just like to quickly address council.
Okay, on the motion?
That's correct.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, guys,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, this motion here should be denied. We're gonna show favoritism to, towards the MD of Bonnyville, which is very biased. There was a trucking outfit that was working out of there for years, with zero issues coming in and out of the yard. Why we should make an exception to this now is like, it's very biased. Again, the MD knew that going into this lot, what they were getting into. And, I mean, if that was like an unused lot before, I could see the argument, but that lot was used in the past with heavy equipment coming in and out of there. And again, we've made a lot of people unhappy with saying no to second driveways. And if we say yes to second driveway now, we're being very biased.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll call for the vote.
Is it not working?
Oh,
It actually worked for me and I voted twice, but it's.
okay. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Who do you want to leave Okay, thank you. Back to you, Lisa.
Okay, I think where we left off was that council administration is recommending that council refuses application 2025-D-004 for a variance to the industrial use second approach, as the application does not comply with policy number 38007, road approach policy. There are two options given to council, and at this time I will accept your questions.
All right, Councillor Kraviak.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation to refuse this request.
So what's written there? So thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion that council refuses development permit application number 2025D-034 for variance of industrial use for a second approach, as the application does not comply with policy number 38007, road approach policy. Any discussion on this motion? Yes, Councillor Crick.
Yeah, I think it's, it makes sense, the request for safety reasons. They're trying to keep public out of the area where the equipment is from the MD. So I think we should approve it, but we can vote on the motion.
Thank you. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to go to delegation or?
I don't think they're here yet.
Yes, they are.
All right, on to delegations. 5.1, Bonneville and District Chamber of Commerce. There they are. I think I had the one lady confused a bit.
Yeah, we're here again.
Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. First, I'm just going to start off with a little bit of information for council and some things that we're working on in 2025 at the Bonneville Chamber of Commerce. Megan is here. She'll speak to the oil and gas show, which we're really excited. It's a oil and gas show year, and we know that's a huge event for the area. But for your information, you have been given the Chamber's 2025 marketing and sponsor package. It contains important Chamber information along with a list of planned events for 2025. Really trying to get ahead of the game on everything, so that everything's listed with dates and all of that. We've worked hard on that early this year. It does include information on the chili cook-off, which is proudly sponsored by the MD in the town. It's not something that we come to you to ask for. We just put your name down as a chili cook-off sponsor, A, because the community loves it, and B, usually annually we receive support through your operational grant funding, and that's just a benefit that we want to give back to you guys as a thank you. So last year, we also launched the Chamber Scholarship Program, which we will be opening soon. 30% of all funds raised from our golf tournament that happens early August directly support this initiative, and 25% from any chamber trips we may sell. So we really wanted to find some ways to increase what we call non-dues revenue for the chamber and put it back into a member benefit. And that's where this scholarship program comes in. What can we do to give our members something tangible? We currently have approximately $2,500 that members can use for employee training or upgrading. As you guys are probably aware, the Canada-Alberta Job Grant has paused its services indefinitely until there's a date it's supposed to come back, but there is no return date as of yet. And so we adjusted this scholarship program to allow it to continue with employee upgrading and training, as well as anybody entering the trades. So members, if there's a business that is a member of the chamber, any one of those members' employees can get training, or their children if they're entering the trades. So you just have to show that you're a member or that your parents are a member of the chamber in good standing. So that's just one of the many of the value-added services we offer. Tomorrow, we will be hosting our AGM, and for those of you that won't be in attendance, we have a presentation by Karen Hasty, who is the founder of the Chamber Perks app. If you've not heard of it, you've heard of it now. So I want you guys to all download the Chamber Perks app and really use some word of mouth to promote it for us. What that is, it's a free app to our members. We're providing that for free to offer targeted discounts to other members of the community or to other members and the community at large. They can customize, advertise, and expand their reach while consumers receive discounted services. And everybody's looking for a discount in this day and age, and we want to do whatever we can, especially in the local political climate, to encourage people to shop local. So we did do an ad campaign for this a while back, and we'll be doing more with our local businesses to get this off the ground. So if you've not already, please download that app. Another thing, you guys know I'm a huge advocate for rural crime and how that crime has impacted our business community. That being said, I'm going to do an ask. This is a maybe ask, an if we get approved ask, essentially. So I will come back to you for it, but I applied for an NRED grant, North Region Economic Development Grant, and in the amount of about $300,000. This is to launch basically a one-year program to help increase security, do some training for local businesses, and things like that to help alleviate the cost and the pressure of crime for our local businesses. Sort of what I spoke to before I was advocating and lobbying government. Right now I've taken a proactive approach to apply for a current grant to see if it would fit under those parameters. We have not been approved yet, though if we are approved, I would love to see some support for the MD in the amount of $10,000. We're asking for what I see as a fairly small amount in a large, this is a $500,000 project, and we've gotten some more in-kind sponsors and those types of things, but we'd love to be able to just see some support come our way if we were to get approved for that. And the approvals are supposed to come out around the end of this month, so us being here is timely. One other piece of news is, I'm sure most of you are aware that my family and I will be relocating to New Mexico for my husband's job. This is happening. I say that it's an extremely slow transition for me. My husband's already there. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off 1 millimeter at a time because I do not, I love where we are and I love the position. But one thing I can be confident about is the ability of the Chamber to continue in my absence under Megan's leadership and guidance. I will stay on in a contract capacity as a Chamber advisor with the Chamber, as I will be traveling back and forth a lot and will be returning in the next 2 to 3 years. So that is the plan, and we've worked with our board of directors extensively to figure out a plan forward and managing our resources. We have another staff hired, Alyssa McGibbon, so we're really happy to have her on as staff. And of course, Megan's 15 years experience with the Chamber means that we'll be in very good hands under our board. So tomorrow's our AGM. We will be electing some new executive and a new president. So if any of you have not yet registered to attend, we'd love to see you there. And now I'm going to let Megan speak to the Oil and Gas Show.
Awesome. Thank you, Serena. So the Bonnyville Oil and Gas Show has been a key driver of our local economy since it started. Even through boom and bust times, we've always had a successful show, with the exception of COVID years. Our show is known for its hospitality, great networking, and engaged exhibitors. This year will be no different. We're expanding the opening ceremonies to the Bonnyville Golf and Country Club, adding a bowling social night after the first day at Kingpins, and working with hotels to offer exhibitors a discount code. The event benefits not just the Chamber, but the entire community and surrounding areas, as well as the businesses that do take part. Since the beginning, the MD of Bonnyville has partnered with the town of Bonnyville to sponsor the registration portion of this event, which gives great recognition to those supporting the industry. This year, we're asking $12,500, a bit more than previous years due to inflation and rising cost. The town of Bonnyville has already approved their half, and we're hoping the MD of Bonnyville will continue their support by approving this request. Thank you.
Any questions at all for us? Every time we're here, we don't get a question, so I'm looking at you guys to.
You got one now.
Oh, good, excellent. Yes,
What
Mr.
did you
Stern.
say we did last year, 10,000?
10,000 in 2023, that's right, yeah.
Or 2023?
Yeah. Because this event is every second year.
Thank you, thank you for your presentation. There's no more lights flashing here, so,
Okay.
but thank you, ladies, for coming in today and the
Thank you
information.
guys so
and
much and have a
all the
wonderful day.
best in New Mexico. Sounds like a pretty fun place to
Well,
go.
I'll ask is,
Okay.
so 12.5 is for the registration?
That's right, sponsorship.
Yeah, 50%.
So how are the, like, how is the other ones coming along?
The other sponsorships?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we've been in talks, so we've gotten quite a few already, just waiting to hear back from a couple of others. And our registrations or our exhibitors, how many booths are sold?
I would say about 30%.
Yeah, we're about 30% sold now and working up. I think in 2023, we didn't sell out. We were at like 75. We were at approximately 75%. And so we're still working to get that. We've got ads across the province, working with, Energy Now, various promotions and marketing. And yeah, the people are always asking. And of course, we do get buy-in. We've already gotten confirmation from a few of our industry leaders, Imperial being one, to participate in the Fast Lane Connections Room, formerly the Oilman's Room, where we do that reverse networking and shake hands, and they get to meet with procurement professionals from those organizations.
So can you kind of highlight some of the changes maybe you've made since the last oil show with some of your learnings from then?
Absolutely. Did you want to take it?
I'll let you take it.
Okay, so a few of the things we know that in terms of attendance, it's the quality of the people coming through. So, and then we used to charge $20 at the door. We don't want to hinder any traffic, so we're not charging $20 at the door, but we will be encouraging with a huge prize, maybe a 65-inch TV, a pre-registration for free, so that helps us at the registration booth, and it gets people through the door. They can still donate to STARS if they would like. However, we're not requiring $20 at the door if you don't pre-register. Another thing we're doing is we're speaking with local industry leaders to spread the word throughout their assets and their employees to help us encourage them to attend as well. Another thing we've done is we have branched out. So rather than having the opening ceremonies and having everything at the C2 and then not doing anything after the first night of the show, last year I noticed a lot of people were asking me, what can we do tonight and what can we do? So the first night of the opening ceremonies are going to be held at the golf course, as Megan had mentioned. So we want to use this opportunity to not just support the C2 and the area, but to branch out into other local businesses. Then the second night, there'll be the bowling social night. And over and above that, we're also doing guest tags, so is that if you do meet a potential client, that you can take them up into that VIP lounge, have your beer, have your drink, and actually sit down and chat with them. I'm working on getting a wellness booth for our exhibitors so they can register for a little massage throughout the last couple of days of the show. We're known for our hospitality and we want to keep that up, but we also want to make sure that we have quality people in attendance, and that is something that we are working tirelessly on, along with other advertising avenues and things like that, mail outs, and we also send any exhibitors that are registered invitations that they can give to their clients and stuff to attend as well. So really trying to boost that, and Megan wants to add.
Also, one more thing that we're doing to help benefit the exhibitors this year is we're partnering with Careers, the next generation. So they're having their Career Expo with the students in May. We are then going to solicit these students to see who would be interested in coming to the oil and gas show. We're going to set them up one-on-one with someone in the industry that they're interested. Let's say which trade, let's say if they're interested in welding, we'll put them with a welder. They'll go around and they'll talk to welding companies, and it's just another way to help the students and help our industry and connections.
We know the oil and gas show isn't about, it's not a job fair, right? It's not. People want to meet clients. But the fact is that all of these businesses are experiencing a lack of employees and a lack of resources in the trades, and we know that. So what can we do to help that is promote the trades within the high schools, working with other organizations and stakeholders to make that happen, like Megan said. And then another thing, we'll give them a curated list of questions. We know how teenagers are nowadays, hey? They're just going to come up and be like, so, and we want to prevent that. We want them, we're going to encourage them to, shake hands, make eye contact, and ask pointed questions. Hey, how do I get into this? How do I become an employee at your company? And ask those pointed questions to create more success. So that's something else that we're trying to get off the ground. And so all of these things are new.
Good. Is there, do you have an opening ceremony sponsor?
I'm working with Pathways, and I expect to hear from them end of day today.
All right.
If not, should I call you?
Yeah.
Okay, Deputy Reeve, I've got lots of other options for you too. The worst thing you can do is tell Serena to call, because you know I will.
Well, I just think that, you know, obviously the oil and gas is a huge part of the MD. And we had to make sure that they know that we are a big sponsor of it and we are a big supporter of it, so.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you later.
Okay, we're on to 8.1.
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept that as information and bring that back to council for decision on funding.
Thanks. Thank you, Deputy Reeves Carson, for making this motion. That council accepts the presentation by the Bonnyville District Chamber of Commerce regarding the 2025 Bonnyville Oil and Gas Show and Rural Crime Initiatives updates as information, and furthermore, directs administration to bring their requests for funding support for the 2025 Oil and Gas Show back to a future meeting of council as consideration. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. Now we're on to 8.1. Morning, again.
Good morning again. Am I on?
No.
There you go.
Okay. Administration has received and is presenting subdivision application 2025-S-001 for council consideration, wherein the applicant is proposing to subdivide a 11.29 acre parcel from agricultural quarter section, southwest 3661-9 west of the 4th, shown on the map. Notification of the proposed subdivision was submitted to referral agencies and adjacent landowners with a deadline of February 16th, 2025 to submit concerns to be considered at the March 11th council meeting. No concerns have been received regarding this application. The subject site is located northeast of Therion on Range Road 491, 1 mile north of Township 614. The recommended action for this application, it is to be refused for the following reasons. It does not comply with the municipal development plan to section 3.2.1 strategic direction B policies to ensure the preservation of better agricultural lands defined as assessed records that define soil rating as 45% or better by requiring non-agricultural uses and development to locate in areas that would not impact agricultural operation activity. And it does not comply with the land use bylaw number 1667, section 69.7B, that the minimum site area and density of a quarter section with an aggregate of 80% of the land having a soil productivity rating of 45% or better is eligible for the subdivision of no more than 3 parcels totaling a maximum of 4.04 hectares or 10 acres. The recommended action at this time is that council refuses subdivision application number 2025-S-001 to subdivide an 11.29 acre parcel from agricultural quarter section southwest 3661-8 west of the 4th Meridian for Core Geomatics Inc. on behalf of Stephen Pashik, as it does not comply with section 3.2.1 of the Municipal Development Plan, as well as section 69.4B of the MD bylaw number 1667, land use bylaw. Council options are that council refuses the application for the given reasons, or the council approves subdivision application to subdivide an 11.29 acre parcel from agricultural quarter section southwest 3661-8 for Core Geomatics on behalf of Steve Pashik, as it does meet section of the MD of Bonnyville's land use bylaw, Section 69.4X, in which it states that subdivision of an existing farm sites are exempt from the soil productivity rating of a rating of 45% or more, or less, pardon me, and demonstrate to the satisfaction of subdivision authority that existing farming operations will not be restricted. The proposed subdivision may be conditionally approved with the following conditions. Pursuant to Section 655, that all the owner-developer install internal roads, approaches, including culverts. Condition number 2, that they submit a copy of the real property report or sketch plan to confirm the structures located on the proposed parcel comply with setbacks. Number 3, that the owner-developer provide documentation for the sewage disposal, that it shall comply to the Alberta Safety Codes Act and the Province of Alberta Public Health Act. And number 4, that all outstanding property taxes are paid in full. Any questions?
Thank you. Deputy Reeve.
I have a couple. So, just trying to understand this a bit more. So is that someone's house on the corner there?
Through the Reeve, that is correct. So there's an existing yard site around in the internal of that red parameter that's given there. The trees are basically what the yard site parameter is, and in order for the septic system to work, the applicant has requested the 11.29 acre parcel, which is over and above what the land use bylaw states at 10.
I just want to understand why, like, the soil quality and all that stuff would have an effect on this area here, because there's obviously no land being farmed or anything inside that 11 acres.
The land use bylaw states that an 80% ag rate has to be under 45%. This, when you look at the entire parcel, the ag rate of the entire parcel is over 80%. However, the portion that he's requesting to subdivide is not. But as per the land use bylaw, I have to do the recommendation of refusal because it falls within those parameters.
So is it written wrong then, or like, how does it affect it? I don't get it.
It's 10 acres.
It's an overall, it's an overall number that is generated through the municipal development plan and through
Well, I
the land
understand,
use.
but how in this case is it protecting that quarter section from anything?
Unfortunately, I am only able to present you with the facts, and I am only able to present you what document tells me that I can. It is up to council to determine whether or not what the
I
documents
understand
state.
that. I'm just asking if the bylaw, the land use bylaw is written incorrectly maybe. Like, is it?
I can't answer you that.
Yeah. So then, secondly, I think I know, but the legend in the bottom there, what is the yellow lines again? Because I don't see it on the map there. The yellow lines? Is that gas lines?
The yellow lines are the gas service lines. No, not the orange one, the yellow. Yeah, that's a gas service line.
Okay, so purple would be like other gas lines, I guess, or?
That would be whoever their gas provider is, whether it be Northeast Gas or Alta Gas.
And then lastly, I never noticed this before. Why do all these agencies have to be be contacted for?
Yes, as per the Municipal Government Act, we must give notification to all agencies that are affected, or potential agencies affected on title, as well as those adjacent landowners.
How would, like, the school division, how would they be affected?
Can I go ahead and answer that?
I'm just curious. I mean, if it's a big deal, but I'm just wondering how all these people.
The reasoning behind the school boards being contacted for all of this is any future development within may have an impact upon the busing routes or the scheduling of the school boards or whatever that might be as far as funding is concerned. So by offering them information on any of the subdivisions that do come forward, it gives them an opportunity to review whether or not they are in favor or not in favor of this, and what the impact may be to their actual school board system. So the school boards that do get notification are Northern Lights School System, the Lakeline Catholic School System, and the École du Sommet not École du Sommet. Yes, it's the East Central Francophone School in the St. Paul, because those are all service education service boards that work within our municipality.
All right. So I guess maybe I just miss this all the time, but these guys are always,
That is correct.
yeah, all right.
Yep.
Good, all right, well, thanks for
Oh,
that.
thank you. Counselor Kraviak?
Yeah, thank you, Reeve Kolinsky. Yeah, I know the area. It's a yard site there. There's trees there as well. So I'll make a motion to approve this according to those conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Kraviak, for making this motion. The council approves subdivision application 2025S0012 to subdivide 11.29 acre parcel from agricultural corridor section southwest 3661, 8 west of the 4th Meridian for Core Geomatics, Inc., on behalf of Stephen Pashek as per the following conditions 1 through 4 before you. Any discussions on this motion? Yes, Counselor Kraviak.
Yeah, Pshik, there's no Y after the P. It's PSH, Pshik.
And if I may, Reeve, there's a incorrect notification on the Southwest 3661-8, should be Southwest 3661-9.
Okay, we'll change those.
Surprised Mike didn't pick that up.
He's just a little tired today, and I'm a lot tired.
The spelling of the name is PyshYk.
That's what it is?
Ishik.
So she says it is.
That's okay, whatever you put.
PyshYk. Is that what I said? Sorry?
You had
PyshYk.
yeah, you had an extra Y in there, that's all.
Sorry. Yeah, and that's from the title. I'm reading from the title.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Oh, sorry, wait, Counselor Slipchuk.
Yeah, on, number 1 there, you say, crossings, culverts, like, they gotta make an approach on that second quarter, or can you just, is that what that's referring to? On the quarter section, they'll have to put an approach, because they already got it, just
That-
for my understanding.
That is a standard condition that goes on all subdivisions. Municipal Government Act states that they must have legal physical access to all portions or remnants being created. So with this being on there, whatever they have as an access point to the requested parcel out and to the remnant corridor do have to meet the specifications of the municipal development approach policy,
Thank you.
municipal district of Bonnie.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion, gentlemen? I'm not seeing none, so I'm gonna call for the vote.
Nothing changed.
All right, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Interesting, Darcy, that you haven't read all those before.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
This is for bylaw number 1889. Administration is seeking approval for roadway licensing bylaw 1889, authorizing the MD of Bonnyville to enter into an agreement to license the road allowance west of Northwest 13615 west of the 4th in accordance with policy number 3A.018 as shown on the map in Appendix A. Bylaw 1889 is a renewal of an existing roadway licensing bylaw number 1789, which expired in December 31st, 2024. The applicants have applied to license the road allowance to be used for agricultural purposes, including livestock grazing and crossing between adjacent quarter sections and for access. Council gave first reading at the January 14th, 2025 regular council meeting. Public notification was completed as per the licensing of roadways policy and the MD public notification bylaw with no concerns received. Administration is recommending that council give second reading to bylaw 1889 and furthermore, if carried, to proceed to third reading.
Thank you, Councillor Crick.
Yep, I'll make the motion to proceed.
Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion that bylaw number 1889 being a bylaw of the Municipal District of Bonnyville, number 87, roadways and licensing be given second reading. Any discussion on this motion? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Looking for third. Okay, thank you, Councillor Swaggart, for making this motion that bylaw number 1889 be given third reading. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. Okay, thank you. That's carried. 9.2.2. Morning.
Good morning. The report before you is the Friends of the Lakeland requesting $2,500 to assist in the cost of the venue to bring the motivational speaker Joe Roberts to the Lakeland community. Friends of the Lakeland are planning events, one student event and one Lakeland community event on March 25th, 2025. The two events are planned at no cost to the people attending. Joe Roberts speaks from the heart of his life story of a young age on the streets of Vancouver to the recovery of becoming a CEO. Mr. Roberts' mission is to awaken the youth to overcome challenges in life. Topics include resiliency, power, and possibilities, and what may happen when you believe in yourself. Friends of the Lakeland is not listed as a society, and as such, administration's recommendation is not to move forward with this grant application. However, should council wish to do so, recommendations is that council approve the funding request from the Lakeland in the amount of $2,500 or in any amount to which you wish to seek for the funding of the Community Action Grant reserves.
All right, thank you. Councillor Crick.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll make the motion for option 2. I think they were asking for $2,500, that we fund them $2,500 to be funded from the Community Action Grant Reserve. I think that's it.
All right, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making this motion. I'm just going to give him some time to bring it up on the screen here. Okay, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making this motion that council approves the funding request from Friends of the Lakeland in the amount of $2,500 to be funded from the Community Action Grant Reserve. Any discussion, gentlemen, on this motion? I'm seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. On to 9.3, 9.3.1.
Good morning, Council.
Morning.
The first policy you see before you is amendments to policy number 2B.013, tangible capital asset policy, to establish consistent standards and guidelines for the management of tangible capital assets. This came about as the regular course of our policy review process, and we have made a few amendments to the attached policy. Policy 2B.013, tangible capital asset policy, was last reviewed in 2015 and contains minor wording changes. Attachment A proposes a change to transportation equipment amortization method from a percent declining balance method to a straight line amortization method. This change is consistent with industry best practice for this type of equipment and is easier to administer and more closely reflects the actual useful life of the equipment in question. This policy is legislated by the Public Sector Accounting Standard PS 3150, tangible capital assets. There is no cost to the MD associated with this report, and the recommendation from administration is that council adopts amended policy number C-2B.013, tangible capital asset policy, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Looking for Deputy Reeves Carson.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Reeves Carson, for making this motion that council adopts amending policy number C-2B.013, tangible capital asset policy, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Any discussion, gentlemen? Yes, Councillor Swigert.
I liked it also. I would appreciate, though, if you would just define capitalization thresholds in your definitions. I kind of looked it up. It was a one-liner, but I was reading through it and I was trying to, so I looked up capitalization thresholds. Can you just add that as a definition?
Yes, Steph?
Mr. Reeve, we would just need to amend the motion, preferably for clear direction for administration. I believe it's option number 2 to adopt the agenda with additional revisions, and we would specify adding a definition for capitalization.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you just want a definition of it at the bottom, you're saying?
Well, they have definitions.
Within the.
So we have to read.
Council could unanimously consent to the amendment to the motion. It's council's motion now, so you can approve or deny any proposed amendments to the main motion that's already been made.
Okay. So just by show of hands, or is that good enough, or, yeah? Everyone okay with that? Okay, good, thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay. I'm seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Waiting for someone? No? Dana?
Yeah, was it actually capital assets I just asked for? I'm sleeping here too, but.
Capitalization thresholds.
Yeah, it was capitalization thresholds.
Is it a full moon today or something, or what's going on here? Just seems like she's not going very smoothly the whole meeting.
Well, no, my system, Mr. Reeves, is shut
Yeah,
I think we're being hacked.
there's something happening. There we go. All right, now we can vote again, gentlemen.
Well, it's still not right.
No,
I'll have to say it louder.
Thresholds, you forgot thresholds at the end.
Capitalization thresholds?
we can put 90% of the blame on me, though. He's not going. All right, vote again.
Vote again.
There we go. Very good.
I love voting.
Mike's old enough to vote now. There we go, carried. On to policy number 2B018.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. This report presents amendments, actually it's a complete rewrite of policy number 2B.018, investments policy, to establish consistent standards and guidelines for the management of investment funds. It is the policy of the MD to invest public funds in a prudent manner that will provide optimum investment returns with the maximum security while meeting the MD's cash flow requirements and conforming to the Municipal Government Act and all other provincial statutes and regulations governing the investment of municipal funds. You'll see attached both Appendix A is the rewritten investment policy, and Appendix B is the old investment policy. It does meet Municipal Government Act legislation, Section 250. And the recommendation of administration is that Council adopts amended policy number C-2B.018, investments policy, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion. Councillor Swigert.
Thanks, Mr. Reeve. I like it. I just, one of my concerns was investment officer. Are we actually going to put that on the, like, make that our finance officer's job to actually track investments and manage, like, our portfolios? Or are we're sort of putting that out to professionals to manage their portfolios? I'm hoping, aren't we? Not that you... yeah, you can comment.
Through the Reeve, we do have a managed portfolio by CIBC Wood Gundy.
Okay.
You've received a number of presentations from those fellows. They come every year before budget deliberations to give you economic forecasts. So while cash flow decisions are made in-house, the responsibility for those is the CAO. They've been delegated to the General Manager of Corporate Services. And so decisions are made based on cash flow requirements of the MD. And so whether to invest, how much to invest is dictated by the MD, and as well as the MD approves the investments that are being proposed by our by CIBC Wood Gundy.
Okay, no, I like that answer, and I also like the spot in there where you say quarterly. I think you'll bring forward our investment growth or losses or whatever, and show us what they're invested in, that sort of thing.
Through the Reeve.
Yeah.
For over the past year, at least, Council has received an investment portfolio report included with the unaudited financial statements that they receive on a quarterly basis.
Thank you.
All right, looking for a motion, gentlemen?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Reeve Scarson, for making this motion that Council adopts amended policy number C-2B.018 investment policy as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. 9.3.3.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. This is the wastewater infrastructure reserve policy, which aligns with our asset management plan. So administration has prepared a new policy to establish consistent standards and guidelines for the management of reserve funds for council's approval. The MD recognizes the need for prudent business practices that will enhance the MD's long-term financial strength, and the following policy will provide the structure and guidelines for improved financial flexibility, cash flow management, and the ability of the MD to achieve council's strategic plan while providing financial flexibility, property tax stabilization, provision of consistent service levels, and reduce the need for debt financing. Appendix A does have the new policy attached. There is no legislation that applies to the financial sustainability plan, of which this is a part. There's no cost implication to the MD associated with this recommendation, and administration's recommendation is that council adopts new policy number C-2B.052 wastewater infrastructure reserve policy as recommended by the committee of the whole.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion, gentlemen. Yes, Deputy Reeves Carson.
So do we have a reserve fund policy for each reserve fund that we have?
Through the Reeve, the asset management requires a reserve for each category of asset. So wastewater is one of the categories. So what you have been approving over the course of the last year or so are reserve policies that will align themselves with our asset management program. So in short, yes, we will have a reserve policy for each category of asset.
And they're all the exact same thing except a different title at the top?
Sometimes they're a little different, but for the most part, they're identical.
Well, they all have one common sentence, I guess, that dictates every
Yes.
policy.
Yep.
And that is other council-directed use for this reserve.
Exactly.
Why can't we just have one reserve policy that covers all reserves?
Through the Reeve, because we need to keep the financial piece of it separate. So when we are looking to apply for grant funding, for instance, and particularly for those grants that are cost shared with our provincial or federal partners, they're looking to make sure that the MD has in place their portion of the funding for the projects that we're proposing. So it is more a requirement of our accounting practices than it is for any other purpose. Otherwise, you're right, we could have one reserve with all funds being deposited into it, but then it'd be very difficult to prove that we're allocating funds, you know, only for this purpose or only for that purpose. So we separate it out to make it clear and easier for council to make decisions on.
So how easy is it for us to just all of a sudden call the equipment replacement program reserve fund the pool fund, let's say?
So all of the, through the Reeve, none of these reserve policies are legislated. However, if council wants to put funds away for a specific purpose into a reserve, then there must be a policy associated with it. These are all council policies. Council has control over how these funds are being utilized. So for instance, if there was funding in the roads reserve and council wanted to move those funds over into the airport reserve, they would be perfectly able to do that. If council wanted to take the money out of the wastewater reserve and use it for some other purpose, they would be able to do that through resolution of council. And so that's why you see that comment in every policy that.
Yeah, I
if
guess I'm just
council-
more curious about your statement with the, let's say for, grants and such. So are you saying that they're looking for a reserve fund that's labeled wastewater infrastructure reserve?
They would be looking for something that is applicable to the grant that we're proposing, yes.
Yeah. Okay, just curious, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion? Okay, thank you, Councillor Subject, for making this motion that council adopts new policy number C-2B.053 Water Infrastructure Reserve Policy as recommended by the Committee of the Whole.
So why are these two coming, because the next one's the same, why are they coming today? Like, why didn't we just do them all in one day, because they're all the same policies?
Because through the Reeve, because presenting 15 policies on one day would be onerous for council, as well as for administration. And there is a certain amount of research that goes into developing each one of these policies. They're not all identical. There are a number of them that are written exactly the same. I will agree to that. However, there are some intricacies associated with others. So just this is when it is most expedient to provide them in chunks.
All right.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good answers, eh?
Yeah, she's batting 1,000. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Okay, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. On to 9.3.5.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Again, this is a new policy related to water infrastructure reserve. Again, a copy of the policy is attached for your review. It is essentially identical to the last policy that you looked at, but this pertains to water infrastructure specifically. The recommendation is that council adopts new policy number C2B.053, Water Infrastructure Reserve Policy, as recommended by Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Looking for a motion? Councillor Crick. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making this motion that council adopts new policy number C-2B.054 Environmental Innovation Reserve Policy as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Any discussion?
He read the wrong words.
I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote.
She said you messed up.
What?
She said you messed up.
Did I? I'm on the wrong one?
No, that's the right one.
They're all the same.
Do you need him to correct something?
Through the Reeve, I believe you said, as you were reading the motion, you said environmental innovation.
5.4?
Yes,
We're on 9.3.5.4. You got it though.
we're on 5.3.
Oh yeah, you're one ahead of us.
Oh, how come here?
Yeah, we're on this one here before.
That's why the last two, the names aren't coming up here for me.
Yeah, that's it right there.
I know, but
Yeah, he had the wrong one on his thing.
I'll just do them together.
well, then I made the.
You're one ahead of us. The one before was wastewater. This is just
Yeah, I know.
water.
No, I skipped one.
This is the one we're on now. anyways.
Yeah, no.
Go back to that one. And then hit this. Right there. That's the one we're on.
I know. Thanks. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'll reread it. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making this motion that council adopts new policy number C-2B053 Water Infrastructure Reserve Policy as recommended by Committee of the Whole. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm pretty sure I read the last one wrong too. Carried. On to 9.3.5, correct?
Yep.
So this is the Environmental Innovation Reserve policy. It is a new policy. It is not linked to the asset management plan. However, it is a policy that council established a couple of years ago to fund situations where we could take advantage of innovations for improved quality of our air, water, or soil. And so, again, this policy has no cost implications to the MD associated with this recommendation, and that council adopts new policy number C-2B.054, Environmental Innovation Reserve Policy as recommended by the Committee of the Whole.
Yeah, Deputy Reeves Carson.
Well, it feels like deja vu, but I'll approve this, or make a motion to approve this.
All right, and I'll try to read the right one this time. So thank you, Deputy Reeves Carson, for making this motion that council adopts new policy number C-2B054 Environmental Innovation Reserve Policy as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Any discussion on this motion? I see none, so we're gonna call for the vote. That's carried. On to 9.3.6.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Bear with me, I'm just about done. This is policy.
Can we blame some of this on Councillor Fadeev, by the way? Like, he's not here, so let's blame him. Go ahead.
This is policy number C-2C.016, Workplace Violence and Harassment Prevention Policy. This came about as through the regular course of our review process, and it's up for its scheduled review for council's consideration. The scheduled review meets the requirements under Part 27 of the Occupational Health and Safety Code, which indicates that the violence and harassment prevention policy as part of our prevention plan must be reviewed at a minimum of every 3 years. Let's see. The policy itself is attached for your review. There have been just a couple of very minor grammatical changes. Otherwise, it meets Occupational Health and Safety Code's criteria. The report is posted on the MD website under Council Agenda for March 11th, 2025, and the recommendation is that Council adopts the amended policy number C-2C.016, Workplace Violence and Harassment Prevention Policy as presented.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion. Yes, Deputy Reeves Carson.
I just have a question. So,
Yep.
So for the purpose of this policy, is council considered employee then, or contracted employee? Or are they exempt from this?
This is to do with, I think you're part of, through the reef. You're asking me a question that I don't know the answer for certain sure, but as council members, you would be covered under our under the MD's normal health and safety policy, and subject to the harassment prevention policy in particular, should that instance arise.
Well, I just seen, council in your definitions, so I was expecting to see it throughout, but I didn't really notice it a whole bunch, but.
Through the Reeve, the definition for council is in every council policy.
Maybe we should say that.
All right. Someone like to make a motion? Or more discussion? You gonna make a motion? All right.
I was
Thank-
just about to.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion that council adopts reviewed policy number C-2C016, workplace violence and harassment prevention policy as presented. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Swaggart.
Thanks, Mr. Reeve. So Councillor Deputy Reeve Scarson's comment is kind of pretty valid. Policy, the first number one says every MD employee. It never does mention council, so maybe we're covered under something different, I'm not sure. If we're covered under this, maybe it's easy to just add every MD employee, councillor, whatever could be added. I guess we got to clarify.
I think she
it
has an
before we
answer.
know.
Yeah. Through the Reeve, should a contravention of the workplace harassment policy be, should one of the councillors contravene this policy, it would be dealt with under council's code of conduct policy. So council's code of conduct policy would dictate, would override this one.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any other discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. What? No. That's carried.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no, thank you for dealing with me all morning here. On to 9.3.6. Good morning to yourself.
Before you today is the Greater North Foundation's. Sorry about that. Through the Reeve to all of council, good morning.
Good morning again.
Before you today is the Greater North Foundation request to establish a limit for capital reserve fund. In January 2023, MD Council approved a request from the Greater North Foundation, known as the Foundation, for the establishment of a capital reserve fund for the purpose of maintenance, replacement, and renewal of aging facility infrastructure. This was established in accordance with the Alberta Housing Act and the Management Body Operation and Administration Regulation, defined as the regulation. The Foundation is now requesting Council to establish a limit of $3 million on the aggregate amount that may be held in the Capital Reserve Fund. And through the Reeve to all of Council, clarity here, that's for their fund, not for a municipal fund. So they're asking to establish a limit of $3 million on the aggregate amount that may be held in the Capital Reserve Fund. This is a request the Foundation is required to bring to all municipalities for which the management body provides senior lodging accommodations for. The Foundation is also presenting the current calculation used to establish this annual capital expenditure to the Capital Reserve Fund. The Greater North Foundation initially submitted their request for approval to establish a Capital Reserve Fund on November 15th, 2022, defined in Appendix B. This request was deliberated on January 10th, 2023, and again January 24, 2023, with Council approving the request on January 24th, 2023 as follows. Under Resolution Number 23.064, that the Council of the Municipal District of Bonnyville approves the establishment of a reserve fund by the Greater North Foundation as outlined in the Alberta Housing Act and Management Body Operations and Administration Regulation. In 2023, the Greater North Foundation completed an independent evaluation of their assets, which identified an estimated total of $5,258,000 in maintenance and upgrades needed for the Foundation's property over the next 20 years. The Foundation recently submitted a letter requesting Council's approval for an annual capital requisition in the amount of $262,900, being 1/20th of the estimated maintenance and upgrade cost noted in the aforementioned report, as well as Council's approval for an aggregate limit of $3 million for the Capital Maintenance Reserve in accordance with the Alberta Housing Act. The Foundation does note that in the event they are dissolved, the reserve funds will be returned to the requisitioning municipalities according to the equalized assessment formula. Although the resolution requested in the February 10th, 2025 letter from the Foundation, the letter included the calculation to establish annual capital contribution amount, the regulation only allows municipalities to establish aggregate limits on capital or operating reserve funds, and to allow for a process to address amounts in excess of the aggregate limits. The Chief Administrative Officer of the Foundation was contacted on February 21st, 2025, regarding this issue. A mutually agreed conclusion of the discussion was a revision to their resolution request. The revision is defined in the administration's recommended action. In addition, the Chief Administrative Officer stated the possibility of the fund meeting the requested $3 million limit would not likely happen for a very long time. So attached for Council's references are Appendix A and Appendix B, the 2025 Request Capital Reserve Requisition Approval and the 2022 Request for Capital Reserve Establishment Approval. Reference to the legislation is the Alberta Housing Act, Section 7, and the Management Body and Operations Regulation, Section 23.1. Any costs will be included in the 2025 property tax levy in the form of a requisition. The report will be posted on the MD website as part of regular council meeting for March 11th, 2025. The administration's recommended action is that council approves the establishment of a limit of $3 million on the aggregate amount that may be held in the Greater North Foundation Capital Reserve Fund, and accepts that the current calculation of the annual capital requisition is based on 1/20th of the most recent 20-year maintenance plan as information. So through the reeve to all of council, their original resolution request was for council to approve both the $3 million as well as the annual calculation. But the legislation only authorizes council to approve the limit. That's why I called their CAO and asked them if the revision that we have here for administration's recommended action be worded like this, where council approves the $3 million aggregate amount limit for the Capital Reserve Fund, and then accepts the current calculation of the annual capital requisition is based on the 1/20th of the most recent 20-year maintenance plan, just as information.
Okay, so Pleasant Valley and Lac Alta, are these the two facilities?
Through the reeve, that information wasn't provided to us. So exactly which facilities they are, I have no idea.
Like, is that the two facilities that they look after, or is there more?
Well, there could be more. When it comes to these requisitions, our responsibility through taxes is to take in the requisitions, ensure the calculation is correct for the distribution. That's what we do to actually know which facilities the funds are going to or what facilities they have. That's between the foundation and the minister through the appropriate acts that they have to abide by.
Oh my God, hold on. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. Who's?
Oh, Mike, sorry, I thought you said mate, and I thought you were talking. about
Mate?
something else.
Go ahead, mate. No mate.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve. Yeah, you're asking which foundations. I'm on that board. This is for the Boyle, Athabasca, and Lac La Biche lodges. Like, I'm on that board, and I'm one vote out of 10, or whatever there is. So, but our amount that we give is based on assessment of ID 349, right?
Through the Reeve to all of council, that is correct. The calculation, the Greater North Foundation, their boundaries coming into our municipality is for the old ID 349, we call it kind of Ward 6 North. So the equalized assessment for that portion is what's used to calculate the MD's portion, and it's only levied to those properties in that boundary for to collect the requisition amount.
Okay, one more comment, Mr. Deputy Reeve. There was talk there that the average cost on a taxpayer will be $7.04 annually. Did you get any of that information?
Through the Reeve to all of council, I haven't done that calculation yet. That will be defined in the tax rate bylaw.
So will that affect the MD also?
I'm
not sure.
Well, it shouldn't. I mean, this is just, all they're asking for is to raise the ceiling on their reserve fund. Is that what it is?
Through the Reeve, Deputy Reeve to all of council, they're asking for two things. One is going to be the limit of $3 million, and then the approval of which will also allow them to levy a requisition increase to fund that reserve over and above the funding of their normal annual operating costs.
And so I think there was 10 municipalities, you said?
No, 14 or so.
14?
I think.
Yeah, there's a list of
There's all
of
the summer
municipalities.
villages also and stuff.
Yeah, so basically this first steps to charge us more.
Through the Deputy Reeve to all of council, this is an in and an out. What I mean by that is that they will give us the total requisition. Let's say it's 500,000. We will levy, create a tax rate to collect that 500,000. So the MD will pay the requisition during the 2025 year, and at the end of the year, we will see whether or not we collected enough or too much. And there will be an adjustment at the end of that year for next year. It's called the over-under levy, to ensure that the taxpayers in that region are funding that fund. So the MD itself, the MD is not paying anything out of our general revenues for the requisition.
All right, go ahead, mate.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve. Yeah, I'm still not clear. I just got to read this statement here. It says, the foundation recently submitted a letter requesting council's approval for an annual capital requisition in the amount of $262,900, being 1/20th of the estimated maintenance and upgrade costs. What is 1/20? Or like, when I read that, I think we're going to pay $262,900 from our municipality, and there's 20 in total. What's 1/20th mean?
Through the Reeve to all of council, it's their method by which to establish that amount. Wasn't involved in the actual calculation, so Councillor Kriviak might be able to answer that better.
Yeah, thank you. 1/20th, the overall amount that they want to have to do the renovations is something like 5.2 something million. So if you're putting in 262 or 263,000 every year, over 20 years, it would hit like 5.2 million. That's all it means. It's over 20 years to reach the total amount of 5.2 million. So the annual amount is 262 or 63,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
So through the Reeve to Councillor Swigert, when I talked to the CAO of the foundation, one of the things that I mentioned to her was that the statement that they created for the resolution is going to be a little bit ambiguous. The 1/20th, the specific amount, The foundation just wanted to be open and transparent for what the calculation would be this year. In the end, the recommended resolution that's put forward in the RFD is to accept that latter part just as information only. When they provide us the final requisition, it will include the way they're mentioning it here and in the letter, that 1/20th of the total amount, which is the $200 and some thousand dollars, $262,000, will actually be added to the total they need from all municipalities. And then the equalization assessment of each individual municipality will define how much of that total portion will be paid by that municipality through the requisition.
So how much does the MD contribute then every year? Is it 262,000? No.
No. I can take a
Okay.
look at what last year's bylaw was.
Mike wants to talk. He knows the answer.
Thank you. I just mentioned a while ago that the average amount, according to the meetings I went to, would be $7.04. So if that's affecting us or not, whatever, that's not very much money annual on your tax increase.
Through the Reeve to all of council, the 2024 tax rate bylaw, the Greater North Foundation requisition was $289,309. So that would have been reflecting the municipality's portion to collect through tax requisition for their total operating budget for 2024. So for 2025, if the operating amount was the exact same this year as last year, and all of the equalized assessments were the same with all the municipalities, the amount of the requisition would be $289,000 for their operating, plus our portion of the 200 and some thousand defined in the letter as 1/20th of the total contribution they're doing annually for the capital reserve.
Yeah, I'm just not clear on how much we're contributing, and where's that coming? That's coming from our municipality's general revenue?
Through the Reeve to all of council, no. What's happening is that the MD receives the requisition, and then we create the tax rate for the properties within that boundary to pay the municipality's requisition amount. So it's coming right from the taxpayers, and then we collect enough to make sure that what we pay and what we collect is the same. If there's a shortfall or a little bit of an excess, we do what's called an over-under levy to ensure that we collect the shortfall from the previous year, or if we collected too much, then it pays it forward next year, so there's a little bit less to collect.
So are there taxpayers in that? I mean, there's no individual taxpayers in that area. It's all industry, is it not?
Through the Reeve to all of council, that's correct. It's all industry up in that area that would have this levy applied to the properties.
Okay, so just to clarify it, hopefully, the MD doesn't, we're not really taking money from that, where Coal Lake gets 16 million, Bonnyville gets 6, Glendon gets 1.5. Are we taking enough extra to pay this from?
Through the Reeve to Council Schweigert, think of it this way. There are different, out of the total amount that the properties in that ward pay, or in that area pay, there's a part that is municipal levy, which gets divvied, as you mentioned, to City of Cold Lake, the town of Bonnyville, and the village of Glendon. And then there is an additional tax rate that's specifically for the school requisition. So although we collect it, we end up paying it back to the school. And then there is another tax levy that's specific for the Greater North, which is the same as the school in the context of we get the bill, we pay it, and then we collect the taxes from that area to offset what we paid for the Greater North.
Okay, so as in my tax notice, I'll have a small amount for Lakeland housing and whatever, so the people in the area will have whatever you said, tax levy for that Greater North.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
thanks.
So through the Reeve to all of council, the Seniors Foundation requisition that was on last year's tax rate bylaw was $628,000. So there is a tax rate that's created for that specific requisition, and that's applied in their tax notice to all of those properties that are within the Lakeland Lodge boundary, which is the old or the former boundaries of the MD of Bonnyville.
All right.
Okay, well, I think most of my questions got answered there, and my concern was that I didn't want to see us write a blank check for where we're gonna tax residents living in the MD, but it sounds like it's all coming out of the Ward 6 North.
Through the Reeve to Councillor Crick, that's correct. And the legislation sets up those bodies to be able to collect tax revenue from those areas. So the properties, taxable properties within those areas are the ones that are paying that requisition.
Everything we pay, we get back, just like the carbon tax.
I'm not.
You don't need to answer that.
I think that's the first time, I think that's the first time I ever heard that it actually just comes, it's not coming out of a big pot.
Yeah, through the Reeve to all of council, the requisitions are set up to allow these bodies, including schools, to be able to fund their organizations. And it comes directly from the taxpayers through the tax notice. The MD collects that money, but we pay it out. And because there could be changes in the assessment rolls from year to year, for example, the appeal that we had with one of the plants a couple of years ago, at the end of the year, we may not collect enough. So let's say there was a $1,000 shortfall. The following year's requisition, the following year when we get the requisition for, let's say, school, whatever that requisition is, we also add $1,000 to it to make sure that the municipality balances out the previous year's amount paid versus the amount collected.
No, what I meant is I know all that, but I didn't realize that this particular one from the foundation is only taken out of, that's what I meant.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
that's correct. And that
I
was.
always thought that came out of the general.
Yeah, through the Reeve to all of council, that was inherited as part of the amalgamation.
Okay, thank you. I'll let Darcy finish this one, or you want me to finish it?
You got it.
All right.
Big shoes.
Yes, Councillor Swaggart, go ahead.
So just, hopefully it's my last one, but why did they want a limit of 3 million? Do they have like far more than that? And they, like, what was their logic?
Through the Reeve to Council Swaggart, I'm not aware of the reason why, except what was in the letter, unless Councillor Kriviak has something to add from being on the board.
I guess since this is over a 20-year term, and the maximum amount will be 5.2 million, there's no need to go even up to $3 million. So, because over 20 years, that's all that'll be spent is 5.2 million. So you'll never spend $3 million even in the first 5-10 years, you know. So they just put that as a number, I guess. It doesn't really.
And through the Reeve to all of council, in the RFD, when I made my phone call, they did, the CAO did say that the chances of them ever needing to fill it up to $3 million, they couldn't see that happening for a long, long time.
It'll never happen, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Reeve, I'll make the motion to approve the limit. That's what you want, of 3 million? That's my motion, Mr. Reeve.
All right, thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making this motion. The council approves the establishment of the limit of $3 million on the aggregate amount that may be held in the Greater North Foundation Capital Reserve Fund, and accepts the current calculation of the annual capital requisition is based on a 1 of 20 of the most recent 20-year maintenance plan as information. Any discussion on this motion? I'm seeing none. I'm going to call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Appreciate it. On to 9.4.1. No, yep.
Hello, council.
Yep.
First, I have for you bylaw number 1892, the procedural bylaw. So in response to the proclamation of the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act, more commonly known as Bill 20, in October of 2024, administration completed a review of the municipal procedural bylaw to bring it into compliance with the new requirements relating to virtual attendance for public hearings and addressing conflicts of interest of a member of council. During this time, administration also completed a more thorough review of the bylaw as a whole and have made proposed updates throughout the document for the purpose of enhancing the overall understanding and effectiveness of the bylaw. So changes to the procedural bylaw are necessary to respond to the passing of Bill 20, which requires municipalities to allow virtual attendance to all public hearings. These changes have been reflected under sections 7.7 as well as 24. Bill 20 also specifically identified conflict of interest for members of council in the Alberta Municipal Government Act and added criteria around what could be considered a conflict of interest. These changes have been reflected under section 20, voting, pecuniary interest, and conflict of interest. Administration is also proposing updates throughout the bylaw based on feedback received from a registered parliamentarian in 2024, as well as to more accurately reflect the typical proceedings of council during a meeting and to enhance the overall transparency. Some of the other changes to the bylaw include clarity regarding electronic meetings, clarity regarding suspension of the rules, clarity regarding the regular meeting versus committee of the whole and the meeting chair, as well as quorum. Updates regarding electronic meetings to add the ability of the chair to allow virtual attendance during closed session by specific people with unanimous consent of council. Removal of friendly amendments and added clarity to the amending motions section. And the addition of motion to postpone and added clarity to the motion to table. The new proposed bylaw number 1892 would repeal and replace the current procedural bylaw number 1787. The Committee of the Whole reviewed this bylaw on February 18th, 2025, and are recommending that Council pass the bylaw as presented. Attached for Council's review as Appendix A was the proposed new bylaw 1892, as well as Appendix B, the current consolidated procedure bylaw number 1787, which also included the proposed changes showing in red and green. Administration's recommended action is that bylaw number 1892 be given first reading today.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve?
I didn't see any, I didn't see in here anywhere where it talked about, maybe it does, but where you have to address council by starting by saying through the chair or through the Reeve all the time? Like, is that in here somewhere?
No, that's not in the procedural bylaw. That's just kind of a general good decorum rule to follow. Council chambers is typically considered a more formal.
Like where does that come from?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's sorry. Even in the House of Commons, they always go through the speaker. It's just courtesy on stuff, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah, it is typically when you're addressing council through the chair. And so that's kind of the more formal recognition of just specifying to council through the chair. It's just a more formal process of addressing.
You just didn't do it right there.
I know, I apologize. I'm not very good at doing that. I'm sorry.
I'm very okay without it, so whatever. I didn't see it in here, so.
Councillor Slipchuk.
Yeah, just ask about 7.7 on the bylaw. 7.7, where was it here? H. Councillors participating in a meeting through electronic means are deemed to be present at the meeting, but do not count towards quorum. Why is that when I know we have committee meetings all just on Zoom and as long as we have.
So the reason why we don't count them towards quorum is if a member of council is attending virtually and they are counted towards quorum and they lose connectivity and suddenly are no longer able to participate due to not having the proper internet connection to join virtually, council suddenly does not have quorum and the meeting then abruptly ends. That was kind of a preference at the time. That was in the previous procedure bylaw as well. It's just to help ensure that if there is a meeting, that it's not impacted by the virtual attendees if for some reason they're unable to participate at any point for any reason.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Deputy Reeves Carson.
So is it also in here to like notice a motion that we have to follow that is through this as well?
Notice of motion did stay with the procedure bylaw the way it was before, yes.
Is that all, like where does that come from exactly?
Again, that's just a typical process that municipalities do follow. It's a way of helping councillors ensure that something that they would like addressed by council is on the agenda without any worries, concerns, or perception of bias for the chair to maybe veto your topic when you think it's valid, and if the chair doesn't, maybe the rest of council. It gives council as a whole an opportunity to provide feedback as to whether or not they want to see that item on the agenda or not.
Unless I just declare it emergent.
Emergent items are also addressed in the procedure bylaw as well.
So, sorry, is this on the website as well? Like, or it will be?
The current consolidated bylaw is on our website. The draft is also now only as part of the agenda packages from the Committee of the Whole in today's meeting, though.
You're good?
For now.
Councillor Crick, then Councillor Slipchuk.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. So at point number 11 in here says, a councillor when speaking to an issue shall address the remarks to the chair. So I just wanted to point that out to the chair, thanks.
Are you talking to him or to her? Oh.
Councillor Slipchuk.
Yeah, 7.7 again, D-double-I. When participation in closed session occurs through electronic means, those attendees will be required to confirm that they have attended the closed session alone and in private by providing a statutory declaration for affidavit sworn or declared before a commissioner for oaths prior to the next regular meeting. So there again, I'm confused because I know I'm on committees where we have Zoom meetings and we go into closed session. Well, I don't have to get no affidavits or nothing.
So unless that committee would be obligated to comply with our procedural bylaw, it would be entirely up to them what procedure they follow in those instances. I do know with especially community-based board and committee meetings, it's very common to do virtual and Zoom just because everyone's volunteer and it's just more convenient to accommodate everyone's schedule if you just do the meeting virtually. The reason, and we added this in because I did see it, another couple of municipalities have gone this route to allow virtual attendance during closed session for inclusive purposes for the members of council that perhaps can't be here for reasons beyond their control. And then the document is just an added step of protection for the municipality because those discussions are confidential in nature, and when you're attending virtually, you have no way of knowing, not that anyone would, but, is there someone else in the room that could be hearing the conversation? And, it's just an added step of protection for the municipality to help kind of protect that confidentiality.
Okay, good enough, I guess. I just don't see the reason then behind that one. But, yeah.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion? Yeah, Deputy Reeve.
So how much of
Okay,
this
go ahead.
bylaw is legislated to us, or how much of it is basically best practice?
I will say a lot of it, especially the portions that go through like the formality of making motions and things like that, a lot of it is out of the Roberts Rules of Order. It might be tweaked somewhat just to accommodate more the way our council prefers to operate throughout the duration of a meeting. But one of the benefits of having it in the bylaw as opposed to just relying on the Roberts Rules of Order is that it makes it more visible. We have had parliamentarians always say all the time that municipalities' bylaws are too long because it's just a repetition from Robert's Rules of Order, but municipalities all kind of tend to agree that there's a benefit of having it in the bylaws, then they know it kind of takes the components that are more important for the operation of their meeting and brings it to the forefront for their council, so their council knows what to focus on and what to look for.
So do you know this bylaw pretty well?
Probably not as well as I should, but I do try to know it very well.
I'm just curious, who enforces any of this stuff then? Is it just up to us?
It would be up to you. It's a municipal bylaw. It's up to council to enforce it because it's ultimately your proceedings that it's kind of indicating how to operate and how to address the meetings overall. So there are some things that we do enforce on our end, like for example, the portion about delegations. There's the deadlines in there for people to apply for a delegation or get their supporting material in for agenda packages. We enforce those on our end because we do need that information to compile the agenda package for council on time. Another piece is in here, it kind of indicates the requirement for us as administration to have that agenda package available to council. There is a timeline where we have to have that available to you by, or again, available to the public. So there are components that we do enforce on our end, but ultimately if council felt like something wasn't being followed, it would be council's bylaw to enforce.
And at any time that we don't want to follow this, we just have to say we want to suspend these rules until we're done doing what we want to do?
That's correct. So I did make one change, again, for clarity, for suspension of the rules in this particular bylaw where it does specify if council chooses to suspend the rules, the motion would need to be very specific as to which agenda item they are suspending the rules for. And that's just kind of to help maintain order for the remainder of the meeting, to make it very clear that you're suspending the rules for the purpose of this item. But the remainder of the meeting will follow the decorum of the procedural bylaw.
Lastly, can you send this to us in a PDF, like alone,
Sure.
please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just looking for a motion. Would you like to make it, Darcy?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Crick?
Through the reef, you'll make it.
Hey, I don't like that thing as much as you do.
Tell them to stop then.
Moved by Councillor Crick that bylaw number 1892 being a bylaw of the municipal district of Bonneville number 87 to provide the orderly proceedings of council meetings and committees of the whole meetings of the municipality to be given first reading. Any discussion? Councillor Swaggart.
Yeah, it'd be nice to, I'm not totally in favor of all this stuff either, because it used to be easier in the old days, but, we'd start the meeting and we'd say any additions to the agenda, and if a councillor wanted to bring something forward, the Reeve would accept it or not, or if, depending on how long the meeting was, but anyway, can we just look at, can I ask you to look at other municipalities' bylaw? And, because this is 31 pages. It'd be nice just to kind of compare it to some other municipality bylaws and see how long theirs are. Anyways, thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote.
It's just first
Vote.
reading, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.4.2.
Next we have
Yeah.
bylaw number 1893, the chief administrative officer bylaw. Every municipality. I'm sorry. Every municipality
What
must
bylaw is that
establish
one?
by bylaw, a position of chief administrative officer as per the Municipal Government Act. Additionally, as per the Act, council may also, through bylaw, delegate any of its powers, duties, or functions. There is currently a CAO bylaw in place for the MD, which establishes the position as well as delegates certain authorities. However, administration has prepared a new CAO bylaw to remove some of the redundant content, as well as update some of the authority delegated to the CAO to improve clarity as well as the ease and continuity of business operations within the municipality. Some of the primary changes within the new CAO bylaw include removing the reference to powers, duties, and functions that are already under the responsibility of the CAO as per the Act. This was done to eliminate redundancy as well as avoid potential conflict with amendments to the Act in the future. Adding the authority to appoint a designated officer as a municipal assessor under the Act. This was previously addressed under bylaw number 1212. Administration is proposing to just amalgamate the content directly into the CAO bylaw. Removing the delegation of the CAO as the clerk for the assessment review boards. Adding delegation of authority to the CAO for consolidating MD bylaws. Designating the CAO as a designated officer to act as a lone signatory on municipal documentation within the approved budget unless otherwise required through the Act or any other statute. And the addition of multiple provisions for added clarity and transparency, including council's appointment of interim CAO, a CAO code of conduct, and CAO evaluations. The Committee of the Whole reviewed this new bylaw on February 18th and are recommending that council pass the bylaw as presented. Today, administration is looking for first reading of the bylaw.
Thank you, Councillor Swaggart.
Yeah, my I guess a little bit of a concern was 3.3. We can't appoint an acting unless their CAO is going to be on holidays for more than a month. I thought that was kind of, in past, if the CAO is gone for a week, like we need somebody in that position. So this one's saying that we can't, or am I missing that point?
To council through the chair.
Nice.
The wording here is interim CAO, so there's a difference between interim and acting. So if the CAO is just taking a vacation, be it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, at their discretion, they can appoint someone to act on their behalf in their absence, and that would be an acting CAO. Interim is a bit more of an official capacity where council would appoint that role, and it would be for a specified time, or there may be more specific details associated with that, given in terms of their authority to act as the CAO for the municipality.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion? All right. Thank you, Councillor Sipchik, for making this motion. The bylaw number 1893 being a bylaw of the Municipal District of Bonneville number 87 to establish the position of Chief Administrative Officer for the municipality to be given first reading. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. We're just going to finish the meeting. We don't have, did you guys bring lunch in or no?
You had the fire guardian one there.
Yeah, no, I know. 9.5. What's that? We just want to finish, guys,
Yeah,
and then
let's
have
finish
lunch?
off, yeah.
All right. 9.5.1.
Morning, Mr. Reid, members of council.
Morning.
So this RFD calls for appointment of fire guardians for the MD. As per the Forest and Prairie Protection Act, Chapter F19, Section 4, Sub 2, the Council of a Municipal District shall appoint for a term not exceeding 1 year with effect from the beginning of the fire season a sufficient number of fire guardians to enforce this act within the boundaries of the municipal district, except that part of the municipal district that falls within the forest protection area. In preparation for the 2025 fire permit season, the following individuals require appointment by the Municipal District of Bonneville number 87 for 2025 as fire guardians. I apologize if any of these names are not pronounced properly. Alicia Krawchuk, Regional Chief of Emergency Services. Joe Breyer, Regional Fire Prevention and Training Officer. Walter Smeal, Station Chief for Goodrich, Dan Amelia, Station Chief for Glendon, Gordon Graves, Station Chief Iron River, Craig Wenzel, Station Chief Bonnyville, Robert Norton, Station Chief LaCorrie, Cordell Akert, Station Chief for Fort Kent, Ed Watrick, Vic Colodi, Baz Churko, and Diane Jenkinson. Per the Forest Protection, Forest Prairie Protection Act, the Reeve, each councillor, and the CAO are by virtue of their office as fire guardians in and for the municipal district, except for that part of the rural municipality that it falls within the forest protection area. This allows for fast reaction to changing fire conditions without the need to call for a special council meeting to implement a fire ban. This ties in with goal number 2, enhancing safety in the community. And the pieces of legislation relevant are the Forest and Prairie Protection Area, Chapter F19, Section 4, Sub 2 and 4, Sub 3. There is no funding anticipated. This is funded through the BRFA. Communication strategy would call for us to advertise these appointments through the Rural Review, possibly newspaper, MD websites, etc. And council's administration is recommending that council approves the appointment of the following individuals as fire guardians on the FPAA for 2025 fire permit season. I won't read their names again. We already heard them. And furthermore, the council authorizes the Reeve or the Deputy Reeve in the Reeve's absence in consultation with the BRFA to place, remove, and amend fire bans in the municipal district of Bonnyville outside of the forest protection area for the 2025 fire permit season. I'll take any questions that you might have.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Crick. Sorry? Councillor Kraviak, then Councillor Crick, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair. I was going to make the motion to just approve these fine people, that's all. It's
Okay.
very simple, thank you.
All right. There's a motion, and we already heard it 3 times, so I'm not going to read it again, by Councillor Kraviak. That's in front of you. Any discussion, Councillor Crick?
Yeah, just wondering, I thought the Reeve and the Deputy Reeve already had the kind of authority for fire bans. Is that a new thing that we're doing, or is that kind of just, is that put in place every year?
Through the Reeve to Councillor Crick, they do have through the forest protection, through the FPPA, excuse me for the acronym. We just included that here for clarity, I suppose.
Yep, Deputy Reeve.
Well, I thought in the past that the chief has always made that decision. The fire chief?
Concerning
Fire bans?
Fire bans. So the fire bans, generally we do so in the FPPA. The fire bans are established by the province. So because the MD is half FPPA and half MD.
Yeah, I understand that, but it says, just following up, or it says authorizes the Reeve or Deputy Reeve in consultation with the Bonneville Fire Authority to place, remove, and amend fire bans. So is that how it's always been, you're saying?
That's always been the case. Yes, those fire bans can be implemented.
All right.
I just had a question. Ardmore isn't included anywhere there. No chief there, or what's that?
So through the Reeve.
Or never was.
Through the Reeve. So I asked twice for the list, and this is what was provided.
Okay, very good.
So I feel confident.
Councillor
that this is
Kraviak?
the final list.
Thank you. Isn't Baz Jurko part of that?
Yes,
So
he
he would
is.
be the one. And to the Deputy Reeve, the Reeve has always been on the committee on the fire bans as well. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Okay, that's carried on to correspondence and information.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Reeve and
can I
Council.
just ask Louis one more question, though? So at the end of the day, who has final authority on, is it like in consultation with so what if the Reeve doesn't agree with the fire chief on the fire bans?
Well, ultimately, are you talking about within the MD?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we would have authority under the FPPA.
Who
the REEV.
The
and
REEV has the
REEV.
final say?
Yes,
Okay.
under the FPPA, the REEV would have the final say, in my opinion, and that could be something that could be argued, but they're enshrined into the FPPA.
And the
as-
province has it on the other half, basically,
Correct.
on the, yeah, all right.
But we
Okay.
we do try to synchronize those as council is aware, so that we don't have people
Yeah,
confused.
yeah. I know. Oh,
Through the deputy chair, just a comment that if the REEV isn't there, you'll have all the power.
okay.
You can go like this now.
Yeah, $1 billion.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Reeve and Council. In correspondence information, we have 8 items. Here are 3 of the 8 items. We received a letter from a PEI student learning and understanding about the MD. Addition to that, we received a letter from STARS thanking us from the foundation. And the 3rd item is a letter from the RSMP Bonneville Detachment 3rd quarter report.
Counselor Sipchik.
So in regards to the letter from PEI student, or do we, as council, make a recommendation to send forward something to this student?
Thank you, through the Reeve, Councillor Subchuk. We are sending over some pins and a letter back in this special mention within council.
Okay, thank you. Should we look at the letter from St. John's Church? They were a fundraiser for their things to do in their church and that.
It's mostly for attending, isn't it? Or did they want, I didn't read it, that one.
Just
Yeah,
attending.
Counselor Kraviak?
Yeah, I read that letter just for the requesting council to attend their fundraiser. They're not asking for any donation.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Counselor Sipchik?
Yep, that's good.
Anything else, or someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to take his information.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Sipchik, for making this motion. The council accepts the following correspondence as information, 1 through 8. Any discussion on this, gentlemen?
Yeah, just a quick comment.
Yes, go ahead.
This function is the same time as the Cold Lake Hospital Gala.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Whoever wants to start with their committee, is Counselor Fideo, does he want to have? is he- If you leave right now, Ben, lunch will be over, sorry.
He'll have a virtual lunch.
I'll start by
All right.
saying.
Yeah,
that,
thanks, nothing to report.
No, nothing to report.
Okay, thanks, Counselor Fideo. All the best to you. Hope you're feeling better soon. Thanks for attending today.
Yeah, I had a monthly winter games meeting, and things are moving along there nicely, so nothing too serious to report there. And BRFA was canceled, I think, last month, right? But we are doing a strat plan starting tomorrow, Thursday, I guess, right? So
Yeah,
Thursday
Thursday
evening, Friday
evening,
morning,
yeah.
so. Yeah, that's it.
Right on, thank you. Counselor Kraviak.
Thank you.
Yep.
Had an FCSS meeting on the 27th. They're going to be doing a social needs assessment. On March 28th, we have a meeting. Bonneville Library, nothing to report there. Things are going well. Glendon Public Library, had a meeting yesterday. There's a table tennis or ping pong tournament on May 24th, and I have to attend because I'm a defending champion. Also,
Are you inviting us, Mike, so you can step down from that or not?
You are all invited to come. The more the merrier. The more people I'll have to defeat.
Okay.
There's police committee meeting. I arrived yesterday at the public safety building, and 5 minutes later got a text. It's canceled. So, but we had a nice discussion with Mr. Gandolfi, Mr. Jans, and Chris there. So it was good, and yeah, that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Swigert.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. It's just a quick comment about Shaw House. Scott Sear, MLA Sear, had put on a session at Shaw House for the Crane Lake residents, and it was just a nice event to attend to show that we're kind of supporting, you know, both the oil industry but also the residents out there, and we were kind of just observers. Our CAO was there also, which was very nice. Alberta Care was held in Camrose this year. And just a little bit to Alberta Care Coordinated Action for Recycling, so it's waste management kind of stuff. And lots of discussion about extended producer responsibility. So Alberta was the last province to sign on to this program, Extended Producer Responsibility Program. April 1st, it starts in Alberta. It's going to make some difference to waste collection. I guess for me, one of the interesting ones was that in the hamlets where we have waste collection, we have to start, I'm not sure if we have to start, but we will be collecting paper, plastics, packaging, metal, glass. You know, rather than throw it in your garbage, you can put it in probably a plastic bag and it'll be picked up. And the MD actually, because we're doing that now, there's going to be companies that are come in and do it for us, but basically pay us for what we're doing. I think Mr. Jones would have more information on that, but and I think it's good to look forward to doing that sort of thing, cleaning up the environment. And I just got a note, Alberta First, solar panels, EV batteries, and wind turbines. We'll have that kind of collection also. So. Probably not at our landfills, but I'm not sure how that works. But anyways, an interesting session to be at. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Slipchik.
Yeah, all I did was attend Victor and Get third annual sportsman dinner. It was a good turnout. They entertaining. I forget the guy's name there. He's on the Shorzy or something that
on TV.
Yeah,
hockey player there.
He was interesting. And on Thursday, we attended Lara AGM at Maleg, and we got two new board members from the residents on board. So, but I forget their names. So,
that's okay.
And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Crick.
Thank you. I had an FCSS board meeting that Councillor Krivak already alluded to. The budget this year is a little tighter because of being fully staffed. Haven't been fully staffed for quite some time now, ever since I've been on there, actually. What else do we got here? Just a note, the Rolling Barrage, they are trying to help people with post-traumatic stress disorder. They'll be here on August 11th and 12th. And we had a discussion on the grant policy, but the FCSS doesn't really give a lot of grants. They have a few volunteer appreciation grants and some block party grants they do. I attended the Hearts for Healthcare meet and greet with Councillor Fadeev and Reeve Kalinsky. And just shout out to Reeve Kalinsky. Everybody, there's about 40 people there. Everybody went around, did their greetings, and I think he had the best greetings of anybody in the room. Just made everybody feel really, really welcomed. On the 28th, I had a Northern Lights Library System Board meeting. It was quite short, nothing major. We'll be reviewing and finalizing the budget at the May board meeting. And then I was also at the Victor and Get Sportsman dinner, although I left a little early because the language is a little colorful for my liking. So.
Thank you. Councillor Swaggart, you had something else to add? No. Okay. So we're going to be paving all the roads in Councillor Crick's ward this year. Yeah, no, we attended that together. It was a good event just to, see a few different people. They put a lot of effort into both of the galas from the town of Bonneville here and the city of Cold Lake. They're great events that we're very fortunate to have in our area to raise money. I was also to the Woman Influence Awards in Cold Lake, another great evening that I had. I attended with my wife, and I embarrassed her a little bit up on stage there, but she can take it. And I just want to we had a local girl from our area, right from, she grew up with my boys. She was always a tough girl. Growing up, the boys you couldn't throw mud in her face because she'd bury you in it. So her name is Stephanie Sashik. She's a local boxer, and instead of having someone up there dancing or screaming or whatever, they had a mock boxing, because the main speaker was one of the most famous ladies boxers in Canada. I can't remember her name off the top of my head here for some reason. I apologize for that. But anyway, Stephanie from our area was up boxing with another young lady there, and it was different, right? You usually get a dancer or something, but they had a mock fight, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't think I'd want to fight Stephanie. I think she'd give me a black eye in a hurry. So also, my phone went off here. We had a doctor recruitment meeting at the town of Bonneville yesterday, kind of the same thing. A lot of positives came out of it. It seems like we have a great thing here in Bonneville. It seems like we can attract physicians and all other, aspects in the hospital to come this way. So looking very positive. We had a couple doctors and a bunch of people from the medical end. I thought it was a really good meeting. And that's all I have. Yeah, thank you. Who would like to adjourn? Thank you, Councillor Crick. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Oh, thank goodness. Are we out? I just have to apologize to everybody here. I had a bad meeting today. I was out